Um, yeah, just some side effects from bringing him back to life. No worries.
What about Gogo?
Gogo has been surprisingly okay. I feel their current states are, whilst from the same strain, they are currently very different in their progression.
And you're keeping on top of this.
Why do you think I'm in my lab all hours of the day working on this?
I seldom know what you're working on. Hasn't been much change in where you've been or your activity levels. Just a question.
Perhaps that is true. But yes, I'm putting my full effort to trying to figure this out for everyone's sake.
I have suspicions, but there's been some weirdness since the interaction with the AI. Visions just now, again. Not certain if it's related. No way to be sure, really, but I asked it for clarity, and now I'm concerned that may have been an incredible mistake.
Should we be worried? I feel we should be worried. Even more worried than I already am, anyway.
No. I only asked it for information, but it's only happened on the ship. However, I mean, think about it. Think about what we just dealt with. If I was on the floor for 5 minutes elsewhere, things could have gone very differently in the Ton camp.
Right. See what you mean.
I don't know how to deal with this exactly, but keep it in mind. If something seems amiss, you should at least be aware of what's going on to some extent, whether or not I can provide you an explanation beyond that.
Well, thank you for Oscar. It means a lot.
Won't mean much if it gets us all killed, but for now, let's just be mindful.
Indeed.
Now,
Well,
if you'll excuse me, I may actually die if I don't see what's on this tape.
yes, I was in the middle of some important reorganizing, so
Yeah.
I need to get back to that.
I think that as you're walking out, Oscar, you hear faintly, like as you round the corner out of the cafeteria, you hear Chan, and he's humming again, just.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing, and you recognize it obviously from both the vision and what was going on, and I think that you put words to it, and it's a lullaby, but it's very clear that Chan knows whatever it is, and it's very clear that you know whatever it is, but you don't know where from.
deeply concerning.
Yeah.
He I think so he makes the connection, but I don't think that he asks Chan about it immediately. I think he's gonna mull whether or not he wants to ask Chan where he knows that from, because he doesn't want to. Chan seems like he's on a bizarrely even keel about all of this, and I'm not sure that Oscar wants to see what it'll take to set him off. So I think he probably, he notes that, but he doesn't like go interrogate him about where he knows the tune from.
Cool. So, you head back to your quarters, and I assume you go to pop in the, or at least play the data chip that you have via your hollow recorder with your pot of coffee. Just the whole pot, no cup.
Whole pot.
Yeah, cups are for the week. And yeah, I think you pop it in. You plug it in USB style, and it kind of sparkles to life. And you can see the hollow projector projects an image like outward, like against the wall. And you can see that it appears to be a schematic of some sort. Like blueprint style designs, drawings, that kind of stuff. There seems to be a large kind of spherical object, and all of the writing on it looks familiar to you, but you can't read it. It's in a language you don't know. But it certainly looks familiar to you. Would you like to roll a language check to see if you can identify what it might be?
I'll do that. Yeah.
Sure.
It's not going to be particularly good.
With intelligence. I'm looking for just a 7 here, though, because you've seen it before, but it's going to take some recalling.
With intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. So you look at it for a moment, and you're like, oh, man, I don't know. And then you like, maybe you focus on the designs a little bit more, and you're looking, and I mean, it looks like something, maybe like a generator, or maybe a weapon, who knows. And then you go back to the words, and you can read them now. And you very quickly realize that as you put 2 and 2 together, it's written in the language of Terran via the Terran mandate. And you can easily scroll through all of the words, and you know exactly what they all mean. And you're able to read the entire schematic.
Dude, I speak Meltec. Amazing.
And I think that you also put 2 and 2 together when you think back on your vision and realize that all of those signs and words and billboards and advertisements that you were seeing were all in Terran as well. But I assume you want to know about the schematic first.
He sort of marvels at this while he's trying to dissect what is going on with the schematic.
Perfect.
Because he's still not certain how much time he has, or if it's like it can only be opened once, or so he's treating it like it's a.
So I want you to roll me a tech sci-tech roll with intelligence.
Oof, can I roll that with wisdom since it's sci-tech, or is it not possible because it's tech? Okay.
Not on this tech skill. There's going to be a couple of things here, though. I'm going to give you a couple of rolls to discern as much as you can before the countdown timer starts. Okay? So you identify that there are psychic components, or at least psychically powered components to this device. You recognize that it is a device that stores energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you also recognize that I think this data you are receiving is like the rough draft concept of the object. But I also want you to roll me a... what kind of roll do I want you to roll me here? There's another one. Roll me a...
It's never good when you laugh before you ask me to roll something.
Yeah, I know. It's usually because I'm looking at your sheet.
Yeah.
But I think
I
that...
am a man of narrow expertise.
Yes, indeed. I think that in this instance, I actually want a science roll. This one can be based on wisdom, though, because it's discerning the information in front of you as opposed to recalling upon your knowledge. Okay, good.
Oh, man.
Good. You also realize that the missing parts that are not here on the rough draft, but that are mentioned within this design, is something that they are referring to as an activator. And what you can presumably say is to activate whatever this device is. So the information that you've gathered is it is a device that can store energy, is powered by psychic energy, is clearly of pre-tech design / sci-tech design, is clearly like an early concept of whatever this device is, and that there is possibly a missing component from this schematic known as... They're calling it on this schematic an activator. And I think that
what I found in like episode 6.
So it's no, but I think that the reason why this is so kind of vague to you is it's one of those things like if you have like this schematic and then in the margins there are notes, and that's kind of where you're getting from these notes. You're rolling the science roll to discern what you're actually reading and what they're talking about. And I think that like there's probably a note there that's like activator ? And I think that the other thing that you notice before anything happens is there are initials at the bottom of this schematic, and the initials are DS. That's Delta Sierra. So it's capital D period S period. That's all the information about what, who or what might be talking in this thing. Additionally, what questions do you have about this? And I'm not going to tell you a limitation of questions, but I am going to perhaps put a limit on it that you are unaware of. So ask wisely. Clarification questions will not count, though. Like if you say,
okay,
does it have this kind of thing on it? I might say yes, and then you ask a question about it, and that one would count.
Okay, so recapping. Initials, DS, Terran mandate writing.
Yep. All of it is in Terran.
All of it is in Terran, and I understand that by means I don't fully comprehend.
Right.
But have suspicions about. How large does this have any dimensions to it? Like, are there measurements?
So I think that the dimensions on this like initial concept draft are probably like 5 meters by 5 meters, like 5 meter diameter sphere.
Okay. How complex, just like at a basic level, how complex does this appear to be.
There is a dissected image, right? There's like here's the full image, here's it dissected so you can see the inside of it, right? Extremely would be the only way I could describe it.
Okay.
Like,
so
next level. Yeah.
So if this is a giant, like a 5 by 5 meter dense as hell ball of tech, totally outside of Oscar's comprehension, he would want details like who made this, what was the purpose, where was it made.
Okay.
That, like, he wants details that will help him dig further and try and track down additional information.
Perfect.
Rather than details like to try and reverse engineer this thing, because that's not going to happen.
Certainly not going to happen.
So he wants, like,
so you already
as many
have
leads as possible.
You already have all the information possible on a who with the initials. There's no other references to anything else. However, you do have a reference to where. And I think that it says...
Don't say Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Really?
No, it doesn't say that.
Okay.
There are references to Station Gamma 2. And then in parentheses it says autonomous. Yeah, I think that's probably what you get, because they wouldn't have, like, written where it was, because everybody in that time would have known what they were talking about. You may not,
right.
But it at least is a breadcrumb. And then you said who, where, and why? Was that the other, like...
Well, yeah, so I guess he's been able to discern that it's a device for storing psychic energy. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's an accurate, like, either kinetic energy that is based off psychics or psychic energy. One of the two, certainly.
I mean, energy is energy is
right.
Energy.
Sure.
So
sure.
Okay. So he has name as far as he's going to get.
Yeah.
He has location as far as he's going to get. He has a basic purpose. Jesus. Does it appear... does it look like it's intended to be a weapon? Like, could this thing potentially explain what we saw in the video that Rudolph sent us? Like, do I get that immediate impression, like this thing's being used as a bomb somewhere?
I don't think you have enough information for me to tell you any more than you're already either assuming or no.
Okay. No, that's fine. If I can't realistically gather that information, that's okay.
I mean, I think that there's a valid player and character assumption there.
Yeah.
But that's for you to decide whether or not you believe that, not for me to tell you one way or the other. Do you make sense?
Yeah. I have to make my own decision about that based on the information granted.
Yeah.
He gets... So I think... He gets on his compad quickly, and he says, he pings Fisher, and he says, Fisher, respectfully drop whatever you're doing and come into my room.
So, Fisher, you just make it back to the med bay, and you're putting down all of your things, and Oscar sends you an urgent page.
Why just can't I have some rest? Because as I go off to see Oscar again.
Do you bring your medical bag again?
Not at this point.
Okay. Fuck it, let him die if he's hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll change his tune once he sees what I'm looking at, so I'm not particularly concerned about giving context.
Sure. We have to. I think it's important to backtrack to understand the past 3 days for Dr. Fisher.
Oh, he's been getting
Not only was there the tumultuous almost dying in space battle, but then there was the intense grill session for 6 hours, followed by being grabby-handed by multiple robots.
Little grappler bots.
Yeah, followed by strange interaction in cafeteria in which you thought perhaps Chan was consuming someone. Followed by this. So...
You know, it's funny that didn't even occur to me that Fisher would walk in and assume that Chan was eating me. But anyway.
I feel like that was a perfectly valid concern for him to have, though.
Oh, yeah. It's just that only now occurred to me as a player. But anyhow.
So, Fisher, you show up.
Yes, Oscar. Is this about the data slab we picked up?
Well, so I think you're probably midway through saying that when you notice like the person-sized holographic projection that he's staring at.
And I think that the other thing that happens, Oscar, is like while Dr. Fisher is en route, a countdown clock has begun in the top right-hand corner, and it's at like 5 minutes and has been counting down. Basically, in between you sending him that message and coming in.
He thinks very loudly, "Oha, I know you can probably hear this. Come to my room."
Okay. Sure.
Partly test, partly she might be able to help.
Yeah, we'll see if she's willing to give away whether or not she can hear you or not.
Yeah, it's a test on several accounts.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm on it.
He may learn a lot, he may learn nothing.
Right, exactly.
Says Oscar points to the timer and says, "Can you make anything of this?"
Well, Dr.
And
Fisher...
he goes down the list. He says, "It's in Terran. Something about Station Gamma 2. Someone by the initials DS. Perhaps an automated project. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine. Or rather, your guess is better than mine, so get guessing."
Yeah, I don't have that language, but do you want me to make a language check?
I think that a language check for you would only assist you in identifying the language, and you've already been told what that is. You know what I mean?
This is like weird shit.
Yeah, well, like...
I think the only basis I have is because ancient AI was meddling in my head to understand it.
Someone asked for clarity.
Yeah, he sure did. So that's pretty cool, but
also elaborately frightening.
Deeply upsetting, but yes, useful. So yeah, I mean, maybe he says, "Fisher, I don't know why I can read this, but I can read it. If you had to track down Terran Mandate Tech, what would you need to know of it?"
Dr. Fisher, actually, I want you to make me a check here. Because I'm assuming that you've been given the 1 minute briefing by Oscar of everything that he was just able to figure out.
He got the 30-second elevator talk, like
totally
chop chop.
Exactly. So I want
Spacer
you.
or Traveler.
Can you roll me a science roll based on intelligence? Because there are some generalized things that you can identify here, if you roll high enough. And based on this is going to be like specifically based on your training. Awesome.
Hey.
Yeah.
Couple of things. One, you know that any device that is psi-tech has a distinct signature, no matter what it is, because every type of psychic energy is just very slightly different. So, you are probably able to make sense of some of the numerical language that Oscar reads off to you about it. Like, this is the type of signature that this would have. And I think that's very important because if you were able, and again, this is already
Oscar
using...
might actually have some sort of ability to
Yeah, exactly.
actually
And
analyze that.
and
if
even
he
if
came close
Oscar
enough.
doesn't, there is someone else on the ship that probably does. In
Someone
addition,
has made a career in part of doing that. Yes.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, there are additions to that. So I think that a 10 nets you and again, this is like a rough first draft, a general range of signatures that this device might give off. Which is amazing information, except for you also have to figure out, you have to find a place where this device was, and then also figure out a way to measure an MES signature, and then also figure out a way to compare the two based on ancient Terran mandate calculations and your current post-tech calculations. So there's a lot of room in there, but it is very key, important information. As well, I think that you understand that there are only a handful of places where pre-tech and sci-tech are, like, I'm going to use air quotes, commonly known to have come from, or commonly known to have been, like, during the Silence and pre-screen. Because I'll remind everybody that this was a very kind of lightly populated during the Terran Mandate. It was not as dense as some other sectors. And so for that reason, the pockets of where one might suspect pre-tech to be located are kind of very narrow. In fact, the party has visited most of them that exist, to be honest. Like, most of the ones that exist in the sector, the party has visited at one time or another already. With the exception of a few, and then also there are obviously undiscovered ones. Ones that are commonly known about, I will give to you. The religious station that is located, the religious, where we met, I think it's in 0104, where we went to go meet, what is that guy's name? Valgard, what is his name?
Rudolph,
thank you. The religious, that large, gigantic building, that is, like, was there since before space travel became common again. The ruins that the party visited in 0100 in the Rupali system on, is it Athelia? Yeah. Those are dated pre-Scream. The Fatine, the station in 402, is dated pre-Scream. Let me pull up. There is another one, too, that you guys have been to. Or that you guys know about. Oh, right. The other one that you guys know about is obviously...
where's the Fatine station? Which is that?
0402. You guys have been there, like, a dozen times or so. The other two obvious ones are Raimondi and the Tonhome world of 0008, the Iasis. Those two are obviously pre-Scream. And then also you know the story of the people of 0707, the Kuchera Syndicate, who were a group of people that lived on 0709 during the Silence, and then migrated, because their planet was dying, migrated to 0707 because it was filled with water. It was a water world. They built all of these, like, specifically water world things, but remember when they got there, on 0707, it's all... None of it is potable. It is all non-potable water. And so they got kind of fuckered by that when they were finally able to migrate, and had to resort to piracy, and that's why it exists there now. I think that is the comprehensive list of the known pre-Scream locations. There are obviously others scattered throughout the sector that you guys don't know about, but those are the known ones.
You've got a lot of searching to do.
Fun times.
Okay.
I guess I should mention Yuri Pylos, right? Obviously, we know that there's a Mandate facility on Yuri Pylos as well. You guys go back there if you want.
We may.
Dr. Fisher's just like, fuck this, just kill me now. Listen, I did it, shoot that ship. I'm done. I don't want any more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think all of that info dump is for Dr. Fisher's 10.
How much time do we have left?
Like
on the clock?
Like
here?
a minute 45.
Well, he says, all right, Fisher, anything else? Anything you can think of at all that would help us track this down?
Yeah, so Dr. Fisher, you get questions, but like they're going to be even more limited. Not only because you have to get everything translated, but because you're on a time limit.
Well, to be clear, what he said initially was like, if you had to do this, what would you want to know?
Right.
Not like, look at this thing and figure it out. Oscar wants like help in it. He doesn't want to think later like, oh shit, I should have tried to get this bit of information. So he's just trying to come up with more questions so he can like personally search.
Right.
What about asking for the meaning of life?
It's right as the seconds tick down to 42.
Yeah, Oscar is stone-faced. Like, even more than usual, he just...
Right. Even more than the emotionless face that Oscar currently has. Like, just on his physical body.
Yeah, and while he's waiting, he's still, like, just scanning this thing. Just looking at it, seeing if anything else jumps out to him. Can I make, like, a security check on this? Is this... Does anything jump out at me as, like, a way to manipulate this thing? Or, like, do I... I have a basic understanding of the language. Do I notice anything that is like a safeguard or like some sort of check or security measure on it?
I will allow you to roll security. I'll even allow you to roll security with wisdom, because I think this is like a in the moment perception thing. It's going to be extremely hard to gather what you might find. And I don't think a 9 is high enough. I was looking for closer to that epic legendary style of roll.
Yeah. No, I don't even... I mean, I have a 0 on security, so it was probably... It was extremely unlikely to happen.
But, I gave you the roll, right? That's the important thing.
I think I justified what I was looking for.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. I even had a great idea of what to give you, but no, not anymore.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I think that it's just... Like, probably what's happening is, like, then Dr. Fisher will ask you something, and you'll have to break train of thought and looking at that to be like, oh, that says this, right? Like, that's probably what's interfering here. But it's also important that you say that so that Dr. Fisher can combine his formidable mind powers to this. Any final thoughts from either of you? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Are there any... Could I justify making a culture spacer roll to gather any more information about, like, the geographical isn't the right word, but, like, the where in space this thing, like, get together some other information that I might have come across to identify a region where this might have come from?
I actually do know what I want you to roll here, but it's not culture spacer.
Is it something I assuredly don't have points in?
No, but I'm asking for the other thing simply because I think that it is more appropriate. Would you say that you perhaps are looking for where an object like this might travel or reside within its daily use? You know, like, is it an engine, or is it a generator, or is it simply a storage unit? Does it sit at a colony and power things? Or, you know, does it power...
looking for...
Yeah, what describe to me what you're looking for a little bit more.
In his travels, which are growing to be fairly extensive, Oscar's seen some shit. And be it, like, at a bar, somebody showing off pictures of, like, this crazy mandate tech they saw, or, like, some other, like, stories, hearing stories about stuff.
I mean, people don't really do that, but yeah, I see what you mean.
No, they totally do. They totally,
I
I promise that's what happens all the time, is people share mandate secrets freely.
Yeah, totally.
But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I see what you mean.
He's come across something.
You're looking for, like, a far, way back rumor that you might have heard at some point.
Yeah, like, any identifying information.
Sure, roll a culture spacer. It's going to be with intelligence, though. This is recalling the information in your brain.
Yeah. What were you going to have me roll?
I was considering having you roll whatever vehicle skill you wanted to roll to identify how this either might be transported or utilized.
Oscar is more concerned about... He knows it's important, so he's more concerned about finding the damn thing than he is...
Sure.
Yeah. Man.
You recall back to all those times that those blabbermouths in the bar showed you mandate tech on their phones. And you're not sure that you can recall a specific instance where something like this was in the image, in the background, part of a rumor, anything like that.
I don't mean, like, the specific... I mean, if the roll's not good enough, the roll's not good enough. But just for clarity... what I mean is, like, markings or insignia or that sort of thing to try and narrow down a region. Not like, have I literally seen a picture of this thing?
I think it is even harder because you very recently learned the mandate language. And reverse translation is not your friend in this instance. Like, thinking about something that you saw...
familiar symbols
no, I don't think so. If you had run into the encounter where Blabbermouth Joe was flashing images of his...
so much green.
I know it is. It really is.
That's heartbreaking. Okay.
Those sixes, though.
All right. Well, I think we got a lot of information out of that, actually, even if it's not particularly focused.
Perfect. So probably the timer hit 0. And... it becomes black, but you can see that, like, the holograph is still projecting, but it's like a black screen. It's like when you have your monitor on, but the computer's not on, right? And you see an image kind of flicker to life, and you see an image of a planet from the kind of a way out view. And then in the top, not in Mandate, by the way, or not in Terran, but in Common, in English, you see flashing across the screen the letters as if we would see them typed, IASIS, TON Homeworld. and then the planet kind of rotates, and then it lays down a grid, and then it, selects one of the boxes and zooms in on the box, so that's the total image. Lays down a grid, selects one of the boxes, zooms in again.
Enhance.
Yeah, exactly.
Enhance.
It's doing the enhance thing, right? And you can see there is a crater. It's hard to discern how big it is, but based on the general size of what you discern to be a city structure of some sort, perhaps a couple of miles in diameter, large. And I described it as a crater, but that's not really it. There is a complete dead zone. It is almost as if everything besides the planet's surface was removed. There's no vegetation that's growing there. There's no... you can see a portion of the cityscape has just simply vanished from that point. And I think that we get the little line that comes out and then goes to the side, and we see words begin to type, and they say epicenter and then a question mark at the end. And then the image fades off.
This is consistent with the video that he saw.
It appears to be, yes. The image flashes off, and it just has coordinates. Just geographical coordinates on it. And that is it. It doesn't have the planet name anymore. All it has is a lat long. That's it.
He takes down the coordinates along with all of the other information that he's gathered.
Yeah, and so you probably sit there, like, maybe you guys sit there for 5 to 10 minutes or whatever, like, waiting for it to change, and it doesn't. And I think that if at any point you go over to the data drive, you see that, like, the only piece of information on it is this lat long now. Like, if you do, like, the unplug, plug it back in just to see, it flickers to life, all you see is the lat long. None of that other information is present anymore. And you can see how that could be confusing, simply based on the fact that that lat long could be for any planet in the sector. Or beyond, even. And not even, like, inhabited ones, right? Like, could be anywhere. And that seems to be the end of that experience.
Yeah, I think Oscar just sighs and he looks at Fisher. He says, well, I suppose we have some work to do.
Why can't we just have a nice, relaxing beach holiday instead?
Next time on Olympus.
Exactly. So this is probably maybe not in transit, but as the ship is firing up and getting ready to take off, because I assume you all made it clear that you wanted to depart pretty quickly.
Yeah, we don't have anything else to do here.
Right,
so.
Exactly. So, Gogo, I think that you're in the cockpit, and Chan is probably, like, relaying to you, like, information from engineering. And you're the only one there. Typically, like, more people would be there to, like, maybe assist or whatever, but nobody else is there. But you're, I assume, fine with that. And you hear the psst as the door opens. And Oha walks in, and she kind of, like, looks around, and she sees you in there, and for a moment, you know, maybe like, you turn over just to see who it is, and then turn back to the console. And I think she just, like, comes up, and if we remember the cockpit, there's a, like, big bench seat for the, quote-unquote captain. And she probably just, like, comes up and just, like, leans with her arms on the backrest of it, and, like, watches you for a moment. Do you say anything to her?
I think I would go about my business, but if she stayed there for any longer than, 5 minutes, Gogo, without looking at her, would just be like, can I help you?
Yeah, I don't think it gets to that point. I think, like, she sits there and she, like, looks, and then she, like, looks around, and probably after about 30 seconds or so, she goes, "Is the rest of the crew not going to help you?"
No, not really.
Shame. And I think you see her walk over to the comm panel, like, moves the armrests out of the way, and like then like pivots it to be in the console, and you see her just starting to go to business, and she just begins relaying you information.
As she starts to do that, Gogo like holds up her hand like to stop her, and then she clearly realizes like she knows what she's doing, so she's like, there's that moment of like she looks at her. She looks at the console, looks at her, looks at the console, and then she does the shrug, and then just continue back doing what she's doing, because she does actually have a lot to do when she's doing it by herself.
Right, exactly. And I think that she takes a little bit of that load off of you, and is able to kind of help you get the ship in the air. Would there be at any point where anybody else arrives finally at the cockpit after the takeoff procedures?
Fortune probably heads up there at some point to do the comm panel like he would sometimes do if
Dr. Fisher was slacking.
Dr. Fisher, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because that's what they did before Dr. Fisher came. So
it's true, yeah. And so I think maybe you walk in and you see Oha, and they have this Oha and Gogo have this cadence going on, right? Like of relaying information and talking. And Oha probably says, like, as you walk in, she's like, "Did you ever tell her what to call you, Gogo?" I actually don't recall that. Did you just tell her to call you Gogo?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I imagine that at some point.
Right, that's what I mean. I just don't remember that conversation directly.
Yeah, I don't think we had it, but sure.
Yeah. She's like, she probably looks and she says, "We've been cleared by the tower, Gogo. We're cleared to go whenever you are."
Gogo nods, and then she, like, realizes she doesn't know where she's going. And I think at that moment, if Arthur walks in, she would say, "Perfect. Fortune, do we have a heading? Do we know where we're going?"
0209. What? How are you flying this thing and not knowing where we're going?
Shh. It's fine. All right, we got it. Let's go.
Yeah, and so you begin to... You cycle out, right, to the edge of the system, and Oha stays up there probably the whole time, unless Dr. Fisher or Fortune, like, if you come over, Fortune, and, like, want to get in the seat, she'd relieve it to you.
No, I probably sit back and I watch everything go on just to see how things are going.
Yeah. I think that Oha falls into Gogo's groove wherever Gogo is. I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Megan, but Gogo, you're pretty particular when it comes to this sort of thing, I would assume.
100%.
I don't think it's something that, like, you just kind of wing it, right? Like, you have a particular set of things. And Oha doesn't make any mistakes. There are probably times where you're like, I need this information, and she's kind of like, okay. And it probably takes a second, but then she gives it to you. But yeah, I think Oha falls into a fairly good cadence underneath you, Gogo, and
also, to be fair, if she screws up or does something Gogo like, she is absolutely not above yelling at her for it.
Right. Yeah, no, I think she is competent enough to dig through the comm system and the computer system on the ship to, assist with the navigation, in the very least.
Great. I love it.
And what about Oscar and Dr. Fisher? Do you guys ever show up to the cockpit? Maybe right before the drill? I don't know. It's up to you guys.
Man.
I have more than enough work to be doing to man the computer system.
Yeah, I don't know if he makes an appearance. I think Oscar is totally in his own head. He's mulling, wondering what the AI may or may not have done intentionally or otherwise, and thinking about all of the information that he just got pertaining to this other mission.
Life and the root of happiness?
Something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that perhaps the final thing, since all we have is a heading to 209 and nobody really argues against it, we hear Chan go, "Miss Gogo, the engines are ready on your call. And maybe you, like, look at Oha, and Oha just nods.
It's nice having competent crew. And then she punches it.
Yeah, it's like...
Fortune probably does, like, not loudly, but probably loud enough for everybody here to just be like, I resent that.
And then, as the drill happens, and we meld into extra dimensional space, right? And everything gets all fucky and weird for a moment.
You did not hire Oscar to make the ship run. You hired him for something very different.
Yeah.
Correction, I did not hire Oscar. So let's be very clear.
The best part is Oscar was assigned to you on purpose.
He was.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, we are in transit from 0308 to 0209. Go-Go, would you like to make a navigation roll, please? With your 3 minutes left.
I would love to.
It's a single jump, difficulty 7. Don't fail them both. Nailed it.
No problem.
No problems at all. So, ship very easily makes it to 209. So now we have 3 days.
Probably because of my amazing help and assistance.
More than likely, yes. But also because this is also a route you probably know well.
Yeah.
I can do it with my eyes closed.
Considering this
it's
is your
probably been
homeworld.
so many times that the ship can probably almost do it itself.
Mm-hmm. So, during the 3 days of transit, Dr. Fisher, would you like to make a science roll or a research roll while we are in transit before the hour is up?
I would, yes.
Okay. What are we working on today, Dr. Fisher, out of your 1,000 things you have going on now?
I do want to get a few good checks into the Go research to make sure.
Okay,
it's
so we're on
stable.
3 of 20. Okay, let me remember. Yep.
Nice.
Okay, I remember what I did last time. So, I want you to make me. I've been having you make tech med checks, and I want to continue along that path. But
I can try and assist now also.
yeah, correct. Go-Go can attempt to assist you as well. These med checks are going to get a little bit harder now because you've got the basics, but now it's into the nitty-gritty of getting what have you. So, Go-Go, if you want to go ahead and roll your tech med first to see if Dr. Fisher gets an additional +1. And remember, with help, you both have to beat the target number. Which I think I will just tell you is going to be a 10. Just so it's very clear. Cool?
Damn, back 13s.
Yeah, so you get an additional
Wow.
+1 on your roll here, Dr. Fisher.
Let's see that reroll.
Reroll was gold.
You gotta be quick.
Quick.
Ooh.
And it just...
So I think that how this happens is, you're not used to working with a partner, Dr. Fisher, and so I think that you're resistant at first to the assistance. And to be fair, Go-Go is not the best at working with a partner either. So
What are you talking about?
I think that there are probably, like, differing opinions, and so I think representing that is for the first 2 days, like, nothing gets done. You don't get shit done, Dr. Fisher. But then on the third day, there's a breakthrough where, like, you both realize something at the same time, or, like, Go-Go brings an idea up in one way, and you're like, no, but you know what? That makes me think of this, and then, you combine forces in that way, and you're able to get your 3 of 20 there. Again, since this is such a long one, it's not really any additional information, but you've made a breakthrough, and you will continue, be allowed to continue on to the next task, as it were. So, congratulations. Excellent. Fantastic. I think that's probably a great place to take a break. We'll see what kind of narrative stuff happens during the flight, and then we will go to Thune, the homeworld of Go-Go.
Yeah.
And Boomer, consequently.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go ahead and be back at 10 after? Yes, think that's good?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. See you in a little bit.
All right.
All right, stream and guys and everybody else. Glad you're all here. It's been amazing. It's been awesome. Why I'm in roller coaster simulation, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. I've changed it. Everything's good now. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. I'm glad you all could be here, and we hope to see you in just a few minutes. If you're on YouTube, just stick right here. It's just going to autoplay the next episode. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that awesome? See you guys.